Alright folks, picture this. Elizabeth Warren goes on CNBC expecting a friendly chat and ends up getting roasted over her tax the rich talking points. The anchors actually push back, pointing out that the hiking taxes on wealthy New Yorkers will just send them packing to places like Texas, Florida, as well as Tennessee, and they are completely right. But instead of engaging with reality, Warren defaults to the same tired line once again. Millionaires bad, tax them more, trust me, it will work. But the problem here, it never does, and the voters are catching on.
New York does not operate in a vacuum. It competes with other cities. And so this idea of somehow raising taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers, who, by the way, I would point out, pay roughly 15% of their income right now between city and state, raising taxes on them will simply drive them away. Shouldn't the focus of a mayor be on delivering services to the constituents of the city and doing that by raising the most revenue as possible without chasing businesses and the high-income taxpayers out of the city? Because they can go to Austin, they can go to Dallas, they can go to Atlanta, they can go to Nashville. This is your issue. It's a national issue, not a local issue.
The issue is affordability. Do you know how many working families are chased out of New York City every day because they can't afford housing, they can't afford groceries, they can't afford child care? What Zoran is saying is, I want people to be able to afford to live in New York City. That's what keeps it a vibrant city. That's what makes people want to live
Nobody
here.
disagrees with that, Senator, but raising taxes in order to do it? Why is that the answer?
Oh, dear. Are you worried that billionaires are going to go hungry?
No, I'm worried that they're going to leave and spend their money elsewhere.
You know, they've threatened to do that over and over and over.
And they have. They've left.
But here's the thing.
And Goldman Sachs, when they create new jobs, they do it in Dallas. And Blackstone won't build a new headquarters. And go on and on.
You want to have a workable city? You want to have a city that's vibrant? You want to have a city where the streets are full, where there are things for sale 24 hours a day? Then you need people who can live here and work here.
Well, we've got that right now, by the way. I would point out New York is thriving. So now it's doing pretty well, actually.
I'm glad you think they're doing well, because a lot of people are struggling to pay for housing. A lot of people are struggling to pay for groceries. And I got to tell you, mamas and daddies who are facing $25,000 a year to pay for child care.
Those are national issues. I mean, I know they are the local state, but you can't.
New York City.
Yes, but if you deal with them in that way, by what is always your backup, just tax them more, they will leave.
No, the backup is make this city and make this country work for everyone. I get that the Republican point of view is make this country and make every city in this country work better and better for a handful of billionaires and let everybody else eat dirt. But what Mamdani won on in a Democratic primary is he said, I'm going to address affordability. And he didn't win by one vote.
No, he won by a lot. It's very much unclear he has the ability to actually do it, by the way, based on the laws and what the governor has to say and what he would actually have to do.
You know, I love that as the fallback position, and that is he's fighting for the right thing, but maybe the billionaires will have a way to
everybody
block
wants
him.
a more affordable city. There's no doubt about that. The question is how you go.
I actually do have a doubt about that. The
build more housing.
Sure want to pay their part on this.
You build more housing. You do try to make it more affordable, but it is a very difficult thing to do. You know that around the country. This is not an issue that just here in New York. It's everywhere.
But it's not an issue that Eric Adams was fighting for. It's certainly not an issue that Andrew Cuomo
I think the mayor would say they have been trying to focus on building as many new.
Mamdani is the one who said, I will make this a priority. And you know what he said? He said, I'm really going to lean in on childcare. I'm really going to lean in on housing. And I'm even going to try some new things to bring down the cost of groceries.
So it doesn't concern you that
I'm not going to sit around and pretend, oh, it's a federal problem. Let the federal government fix this.
You can say all these things, but again, I think many people would disagree to the extent that by raising taxes and making it more onerous for business that create the jobs, that create the revenues on which tax revenues come from, that you'd ultimately be dealing with a smaller pie. He may succeed by driving everybody out. Rents will go down.
That the best way to run city government or national government is to start with the billionaires and say what will work best for you. Vote Republican.
I don't think anybody in New York is talking about doing that.
If you don't, then let's make the city more affordable. Let's make the country more affordable. And the way we do that, let's focus on housing. Let's focus on groceries. Let's focus on child care. Donald Trump
These are your issues. These are national issues.
Trump
you deal with
ran
that.
For
That's not.
And New York should just say,
no,
all we want is the
mayor of New
billionaires
York
pay
should
whatever
focus
you
on
want to
delivering
pay.
the most services to the citizens of
He
the
should
city and
focus.
make it a point of
I'm
improving
sorry,
life for them.
your fellow New Yorkers have said he should focus on affordability. This is why they have voted for Mondami, and that's why today I will be here to talk about his plans on childcare, why people are talking about his plans. He's going to experiment to try to bring down grocery costs in food deserts. God bless him on that. He's going to try something. When was the last time you saw America? I'm going to try something.
You think
for
somebody who has
families,
absolutely no
and he's going to bring
experience,
down.
33-year-old socialist, is going to succeed as the mayor of New York?
Yes, I
with
do.
no real
I
experience
think
whatsoever in city
he's going to do a
government?
lot more for working families.
So Warren tries to frame this as an affordability issue. Housing, space, groceries, childcare. Sounds nice until you realize her plan to fix all of this is to drive away the very people who fund the tax base. And we've seen this play out before many times. For example, Goldman Sachs moves jobs to Dallas, Blackstone builds elsewhere, and New York wonders why its revenue dries up. The left just think you can endlessly squeeze producers without consequences, but businesses as well as high earners don't live in a cage, and they have the possibilities to leave if they have to. And then we get to a cheerleading for New York's 33-year-old new socialist mayor. No private sector experience, radical platform, and already pitching failed ideas like public grocery stores. This isn't some theory. We've seen it flop in many different occasions in Illinois, and every socialist experiment from Venezuela to Cuba. These folks simply don't understand supply and demand, and they sure don't understand how to keep a city's economy alive as well as vital, and instead they romanticize Marxist-style policies that inevitably end in shortages, higher prices, and people fleeing blue states in droves. California to Arizona, New York to Florida, and Illinois to Wisconsin. People vote with their feet, and the solution from Warren's wing is double down on what's driving them out. That's insanity.
The United States Senate unanimously passed a housing bill that Chairman Tim Scott and I put together with help from every single member of the committee, both Republicans and Democrats. And the answer is supply. We need more housing supply. And the role of the federal government, basically, has been we'll do the finance end of it somewhat. We do a little bit on public housing and basically to stay out, while for 40 years, year over year over year, the price of housing keeps going up. This bill is a real sea change because it diagnoses the problem correctly. It says we just don't have enough housing anywhere in America. And that's true urban, rural. It's true about rental housing. It's true about housing for first-time home buyers. It's true about housing for seniors, housing for people with disabilities, housing for people who have no housing at all. So what this bill does is it moves forward on a lot of different fronts at once. It has a lot of pieces in it to make it less expensive to build. More modular housing, for example. More pre-approved plan book housing, so you don't have to spend time getting plans approved. It also has my innovation fund in it to say if you're one of those cities that's actually trying to build more housing, federal government will be a good partner to you. We'll help put some money on the table for the new elementary school or for the new sewer connections that you're going to need. But the whole notion is push, push, push toward more supply, which will help bring down prices.
I'll tell you one thing that would bring down prices in New York, but he won't ever do it, which is just deregulating everything. We have a lot of apartments that are under rent stabilization and rent control, but that's a third rail. I mean, I've lived here my whole life, so, you know, I do have a sense for how things work here.
One of the things that Zoran is talking about is how to increase housing supply here in New York City, bring in more new housing. And that is one of the ways that you give young people an opportunity to have their own place. You know, I just do one little stat in this area. Back in the 1980s, 1990s, first-time home buyer was 28 years old. Today, they're 38 years old. And an increasing number of young people are just saying, I will never get a house. A home of any kind, a condo, I will never do that. I met with a bunch of my fire chiefs out in Massachusetts not so long ago, and they were talking about having hired a whole new cohort of young firefighters. They're all basically in their late 20s. And around the table, the chiefs were all saying, and most of them still have to live at home with their mom and dad. They cannot afford to buy housing. That's a problem nationally. And we need to help the cities that want to build more
Without
housing.
a doubt. And lower rates obviously would help as well. Senator, always good to have you here. Thank
always
you.
good to be here.
Appreciate it. Senator
Thank
Elizabeth
you.
Warren, you're welcome.
This is the danger of letting ideology run our economy. The math just never works out, and the people who pay the bills leave first. Warren can throw out many one-liners about billionaires, but she's completely ignoring the middle-class families who get crushed when businesses pack up and the job market starts shrinking. The truth is indeed very simple. You can't tax your way to prosperity, you can't regulate your way to affordability, and you definitely can't run a city like a socialist experiment without paying a price for it. And the left might not care about the reality, but regular Americans quite sure do. And the sooner we push back against this economic suicide plan that's presented here, the better shot we have at keeping our cities thriving, our states staying competitive, and our country staying strong.